She's just the janitor. The mop handle was smooth under my calloused hands as I worked my way down the third-grade hallway at Riverside Elementary. The floors gleamed under the fluorescent lights, each tile reflecting my tired face back at me. I'm Margaret Sullivan, 38 years old, and according to my ex-husband Derek, I'm just the janitor. Parent-teacher night was in full swing, the hallways buzzing with families admiring crayon masterpieces taped to the walls. I kept my head down, pushing my cart past clusters of parents in designer clothes, their conversations floating over me like I was invisible. That's how I preferred it. Being invisible meant being safe. "Mom!" My son Ethan's voice cut through the chatter. He ran toward me, his untied shoelaces flopping dangerously. At 8 years old, he had Derek's sandy hair but my stubbornness, my quiet strength. "Hey, sweetheart," I said, kneeling to tie his shoes. "You showing Dad your solar system project?" His face fell slightly. He said it looked like a kindergartner made it. My jaw tightened, but I kept my voice soft. "Well, I think it's brilliant. Not every kid knows that Jupiter has 79 moons." "Actually, it is 80 now," he said, his face brightening. "They discovered a new one last month." "See? Brilliant." That's when I heard it. Derek's booming voice carrying across the hallway like he owned the place. "Where's Ethan's mother? Someone should tell her the floors by the gymnasium need attention." I stood slowly, my hand steady on the mop handle. Derek stood near Mrs. Peterson's classroom, surrounded by his usual audience. Other divorced dads, a few PTA moms who found his silver fox act charming, and his new girlfriend, Brittany, who was young enough to be his daughter and wore designer heels to an elementary school. "There she is," Derek announced as I approached, his voice dripping with false surprise. "Everyone meet Margaret. My ex-wife. She works here." The group turned to look at me. In my faded blue uniform, with cleaning gloves tucked into my pocket, I felt their eyes cataloging every detail, comparing me to Brittany's perfect blowout and manicured nails. "How nice," one of the PTA moms said, her smile not reaching her eyes. "It must be convenient, working where Ethan goes to school." "She's just the janitor." Derek laughed, the sound sharp and cruel. "Can you believe it? I'm managing a Fortune 500 company's regional division, and my ex-wife is scrubbing toilets at our son's school. Really shows you how people end up where they belong, doesn't it?" The group laughed uncomfortably, some genuinely amused, others clearly embarrassed by his cruelty. Brittany giggled and whispered something about trading up. I stood there, my face carefully neutral, the same expression I'd perfected during our marriage when he'd berate me for burning dinner or forgetting to pick up his dry cleaning. Inside, though, something was stirring. Not anger. I was past anger with Derek. It was more like anticipation. "Mr. Davidson." Principal Morrison's voice cut through the laughter like a knife through butter. He stood in the doorway of the main office, his usually kind face serious. "Could I have a word?" Derek puffed up his chest. "I'm actually in the middle of something, Morrison. Can it wait?" "No," Principal Morrison said firmly. "It can't." That's when I noticed them. Two people in dark suits standing behind Morrison, their faces professionally blank. The woman had that particular stance I recognized from years of observation. Feet planted, jacket unbuttoned for easy access to the badge and service weapon underneath. "FBI." Derek noticed them too. His face went from smug to confused to worried in the span of 3 seconds. "What's this about?" Principal Morrison looked at me, then back at Derek. "Mr. Davidson, before we proceed, I think there's something you should know about your ex-wife." The hallway had gone completely silent. Even the children in nearby classrooms seemed to sense something momentous was happening. "Margaret Sullivan isn't just our janitor," Morrison said, his voice carrying clearly. "She owns this school, and 47 others across the state." The words hung in the air like suspended animation. Derek's mouth opened, closed, opened again. Brittany's perfectly glossed lips formed a little O of surprise. That's impossible," Derek stammered. "She drives a 10-year-old Honda. She lives in a 2-bedroom apartment." Morrison's expression didn't change. "Mrs. Sullivan established the Bright Futures Educational Foundation 8 years ago, after her grandfather left her his entire estate. She spent that time quietly purchasing and renovating failing schools, turning them into some of the highest-performing institutions in the state." I watched Derek's face cycle through emotions like a broken slot machine. He turned to me, his eyes searching my face for some sign this was all a joke. "The janitor thing," I said quietly, "was my choice. I wanted to stay close to Ethan without making a fuss. I wanted to see how his teachers really acted when they thought no one important was watching. I wanted to make sure my son was safe and happy. But you never said anything, Derek sputtered. During the divorce, you didn't ask for anything. You let me keep the house, the cars. I didn't need them, I said simply. I had already bought this school by then. I was in the middle of negotiations for 6 others. Your house seemed small in comparison. The FBI agent stepped forward. The woman pulled out her badge. Agent Foster, FBI Financial Crimes Division. Derek Davidson, we have a warrant for your arrest for tax evasion, money laundering, and wire fraud. Derek's face went white. This is insane. You can't, Margaret, tell them. Tell them what? I asked, genuinely curious. That you've been hiding assets in offshore accounts? That you've been skimming from your company for years? That you claimed Ethan as a dependent on your taxes, even though he lives with me? Agent Foster looked at me with something like approval. Mrs. Sullivan's forensic accountants found some interesting discrepancies when she was reviewing financial aid applications for the school. One thing led to another, and... You reported me? Derek's voice cracked. You vindictive. I reported financial crimes affecting my students' families, I corrected him. Several parents at this school lost their retirement savings in your company's investment scheme. Did you really think I'd let that slide? Brittany was backing away slowly, her heels clicking on the linoleum. Derek, what are they talking about? The Ponzi scheme, Agent Foster said helpfully. Though I'm sure Mr. Davidson told you it was a revolutionary investment opportunity. As the agents moved toward Derek, Ethan appeared at my side. I'd tried to shield him from this, but children have a way of finding the important moments. He slipped his small hand into mine. Mom, he whispered, are you really rich? I knelt down to his level. Money isn't what makes someone rich, sweetheart. But yes, we have enough. Then why do you clean the school? I smiled at him. Because every job has dignity when it's done well. Because I wanted to be here for you without making a big deal about it. And because sometimes the best way to learn about a place is from the ground up. Derek was in handcuffs now, his face a mixture of rage and humiliation. This is entrapment. I'll sue. Margaret, you can't do this. Think about Ethan. I am thinking about Ethan, I said, standing up, keeping my son's hand in mine. I'm thinking about the example I want to set for him. That integrity matters more than image. That hard work is never something to be ashamed of. That you don't need to announce your worth for it to exist. Principal Morrison cleared his throat. Perhaps we should continue this evening's parent-teacher conferences? Mrs. Sullivan, I believe Ethan's teacher is ready for you. As the FBI agents led Derek away, the crowd of parents parted like the Red Sea. Some looked at me with newfound respect, others with embarrassment at having laughed along with Derek's mockery. The PTA mom who'd made the convenient comment was studying her shoes like they held the secrets of the universe. Brittany stood alone, looking lost. Despite everything, I felt a pang of sympathy for her. There's a women's shelter on Madison Street, I told her quietly. They have counselors who specialize in financial abuse recovery. Tell them Margaret Sullivan sent you. They'll help you figure out if any of your accounts are compromised. She nodded, tears starting to smear her perfect makeup, and hurried away. Later that evening, as Ethan showed me his solar system project in his classroom, Mrs. Peterson praising not just his work but his kindness to classmates, I thought about the path that had led me here. 8 years ago, when my grandfather died, I'd inherited more money than I'd ever dreamed of. Derek and I were still married then, but already fracturing. He'd belittled my community college degree, mocked my job as an office manager, told me daily that I was lucky he'd settled for someone so beneath him. I never told him about the inheritance. Instead, I'd quietly filed for divorce, accepted his generous offer of minimal alimony, and disappeared into my new life. I bought my first school, Riverside Elementary, because it was Ethan's school and it was failing. The building needed repairs, teachers were underpaid, and resources were scarce. I fixed all of that. Then I bought another school. And another. Each time working as a janitor or lunch lady or crossing guard, learning the real problems from the ground up. The Bright Futures Foundation now operated 48 schools, all in low-income areas, all providing excellent education regardless of a family's ability to pay. Mom, Ethan said as we walked to my 10-year-old Honda, which I kept because it ran perfectly fine. Dad always said you were nobody special. I buckled him into his booster seat, thinking about my response. Your dad measures special by what people can see: money, cars, job titles. But real special is what you do when nobody's watching. It's the teacher who stays late to help a struggling student. It's the nurse who holds a scared patient's hand. It's the janitor who makes sure every child has a clean, safe place to learn. And the secret millionaire who buys schools? He added with a grin. I laughed, ruffling his hair. That too, I suppose. But the money isn't what makes me special, Ethan. It's what I choose to do with it. As we drove home to our modest 2-bedroom apartment, which I kept because it was cozy and close to school, my phone buzzed with a text from Principal Morrison. Thank you for everything you do, visible and invisible. P.S. The staff would like to know if they should still call you Mrs. Sullivan or if you prefer Your Majesty now. I smiled, texting back. Just Margaret is fine. I'll see everyone tomorrow morning. The second-floor bathroom is making that weird noise again. Because that's who I am. Not the secret millionaire. Not the foundation owner. Not Derek's victim or anyone's cautionary tale. I'm Margaret Sullivan, and I've learned that the best revenge isn't just living well. It's lifting others up with you. Tomorrow, I'll put on my uniform, pick up my mop, and continue the work. The real work. The work that matters. After all, every job has dignity when it's done well. Even especially being just the janitor.